today's video, I'm sharing with you how I customize my Google Pixel 9 Pro. Let's get right into it. Okay, friends, I don't know if I've done a video like this very similarly in the recent months, but if I did, I'm doing another one because I've been getting a lot of DMs from you saying that you got Google Pixel devices, which is really, really exciting, and you're looking for a tutorial to set up your home screens in particular. So what I did was I erased everything off of my home screens, started from scratch essentially, and we're going to go through it together, and we're going to set up all of my home screens together so that you can see how to set it up. I think it should be a pretty simple tutorial, a really easy to follow tutorial, so hopefully it will be just that, and we're going to jump right into it. So let me start sharing my screen. Okay, so this is what my screen looks like right now. As you can see, it's completely blank, and if I try to swipe, you can see I also don't have any other home screens set up. So we are starting from scratch together, and we'll go through everything together. There are some folders here. I figured I wouldn't erase the folders because it's kind of self-explanatory. I'm sure you all know how to do the folders, but everything else is blank. And I do have this Google Home feed over here that is kind of embedded into the Google Pixel phone devices, but you can toggle this off if you don't want this here, and it would just show your home screens. And your main home screen is going to have this little widget at the top, which I think you can take off, but it has the date and the weather. This just lets me know that this is going to be the first screen that I see when I open my phone up. So just letting you know that's what the setup is so far, but we're going to get into actually setting up the screen space and all of that fun stuff. But before we do that, I do want to change out my wallpaper. My wallpaper, as you can see, are cherries, and I was going for a red pink vibe for February for Valentine's Day, but I do want to swap it out for new wallpapers in March. And by the way, this wallpaper and a bunch of other wallpapers are on my Patreon. I release 2 phone wallpapers every single month on my Patreon, so just a heads up on that. You can get this one and a bunch of other ones, but I'm going to swap mine out with this one, which is also available on my Patreon. And I really like this one because it is nice and springy, but not super springy. It's just like subtle. So I should go back. I lifted the screen up. I just like swiped up when I did that on the image that I have in my phone. And then I swiped over to where it says use as, hit that, and then at the bottom it says photos wallpaper. I clicked on that. And now I can set the wallpaper. You can either toggle over to set it as a lock screen or a home screen. I want this for my home screen, and so I'm going to tap on that. And I'm just going to adjust the image so that I have it set the way that I like it. And then I'm going to hit the check mark, and then I'm going to hit set wallpaper, and I'm going to toggle for it to only be set on my home screen. And then I'm going to hit set. So it says it's successful, and this is what my wallpaper looks like now. I love this color, but I'm also going to switch out my lock screen, which I don't know if I can show you my lock screen while I'm sharing my screen. So just trust that it's going to look like this because I want to use this one again in my Patreon. And I'm going to do the same exact thing. But once I get to this screen, I'm going to toggle over to lock screen. I'm going to tap on that. I'm going to adjust the image for how I like it, hit the check mark, set wallpaper, and then toggle it so that it only sets as my lock screen. Okay, so that is all set. And I don't know if you noticed, but the screen, like my lock screen, had like pink in it. And if you can see these apps over here, some of the apps are showing a pink hue. That's because I customized it to be pink, and that was for February, of course, to match with my wallpaper, but I want to change it out so that it matches my March wallpapers now. So I'm going to hold on the screen, and I'm going to, this is like a little screen that pops up. I'm going to hit wallpaper and style. And from this screen, you can do some more customizations to your home and lock screen. So starting with the home screen, you can see that there are some pre-made color palettes here that Google detected from the wallpaper that I chose. And I really like this one. I really like the greens and the yellows here. It's nice and bright. So I'm going to go with that one, although you can go here and choose other colors or like solid colors, but I'm going with that one. And if you scrub down, you can also see that there's a color contrast option, so you can make the color brighter, you can make it darker. I kind of like this bright color. I'm going to go with that one. And then you can also change the app grid so you can make it more small so that you can fit more on the screen, or you can make it more wide, which fits less on the screen. It really just depends on your preferences. I like it really small so that I can fit as much as possible on the screen. And then I will also toggle over to the lock screen so that you can see this. You can change the time that shows on your lock screen. Some really cool fonts and designs in my opinion, but I really like this one. I did this one last month too, but I just really like how bold it is. And then you can change some more customizations for your lock screen down here, but I'm just going to leave it at that. And we are all set. So now that all the wallpapers and colors are changed, you can see the bright yellows in the apps, which is really nice. Now let's start actually customizing the screen space, starting with this home screen. And I think I mentioned I have 3 home screens that I want to do, so we'll do it together. But essentially what I'm going to start with is widgets, or our widgets, and I have quite a few widgets that I want to get into. So I'm going to hold down on the screen again, and I'm going to go where it says widgets, and this is the library of widgets that are available to you. They're pre-made, so you don't customize them from scratch on your own. You don't pick and choose, like you choose from this selection here. But as you can see, there are a ton of selections, which is really nice. And I want to do a Pinterest widget. So this is the Pinterest one. I'm going to hit that. And then as you can see, these are the 2 pre-made options that I can choose from. I'm going with the gallery wall one. And you can also see it says 2x2 and 5x2. That helps you figure out your grid and the sizing that I talked about before when I was in the home screen settings. But I'm going to hold down on gallery wall. And then I'm going to hover around the screen and place my widget where I want to place it. I want to place it all the way on the top. So I'm going to drop it there. And then the widget's particular settings are going to come up, and then you customize your widget from there. So this one is asking me what feed I want to show through the Pinterest widget, and I want to show a board in particular. So now it's asking me what board I want to use, and I'm going to go with the 2025 Vision board. And then it asks me how often I want to refresh those pins. So I can do it either hourly or daily, and I'm going to go with daily because hourly might drain my battery. So I'm just going to go with that. I'm going to hit save. And there it is. Now you can see these little balls on each side of the widget. That is to adjust the sizing, and you can make it bigger, you can make it smaller. Sometimes you can't make it any smaller than the preset size, so just a heads up on that. But you can play around with it and make it work with what you're going for. I want it at this standard size, so I'm just going to leave it at that, and then I'm going to tap away, and now it's all set. So that is my first widget on this screen. And I'm going to add just one more widget, I believe. I'm just going to hold down once again, go back to widgets. I'm going to add my Notion widget. So as you can see, Notion has more than 2 widget options. I'm going to go with the bottom one that says recents because I like to be able to click into my recent boards easily without having to go into my Notion and click through a bunch of different boards to get to my recent boards. So I'm going to hold down on that. I'm going to hover and place it right there because that's exactly where I want to place it. And then it's going to ask me to set up which Notion board I want to put. And then I'm going to tap away. And that is pretty much it. So this is my first home screen. This is exactly how I like it to look, and I am very happy with it. So now we're going to move on to my second home screen. Like I said, I have 3 of them total. And how I do that, because obviously I can't swipe because there's nothing available for me to swipe to yet, what I do is I hold on a blank space on this home screen so that this pops up again, and then I'll go into the widgets and pick the widget that I want to place on the next home screen. If you wanted to do an app or a folder, you can do that as well. It's the same exact way, but I want to add another widget. So I am moving down to keep notes, and I want to use the note selection option. So I'm going to hold down. And as you can see, that new home screen automatically popped up because it knew that it couldn't fit on this current home screen. So it made a new home screen for me. And I'm going to plop it in this top left corner. And then it's going to ask me to just, log into whichever account I want to use the Google Keep Notes with. And then it'll ask me if I want to do all notes, pin notes, or reminders. I'm going to do all notes. And then as you can see, it's all set up there. Now this one allows you to make it super big or much smaller. And so I like it this size. You'll see in a second why, but I like this size in particular. So I'm going to leave it at that and tap away. Now I'm going to do another widget. This is a screen of all widgets, just a heads up, but I'm going to go back to widgets and then I'm going to go to arts and culture. This is Google Arts and Culture. And there's only one widget available, so I'm just going to drag that and place it right next to my keep notes. And Google Arts and Culture, this widget shows you a piece of art every single day, which I think is really fun and inspiring. It's just like literally a piece of art on my screen every day to look at. So that is that widget. And then one more widget for this screen, and that is going to be Google Calendar. Where is it? Here we go. So there are two widgets here. There's the schedule and the calendar month view. I'm going with the schedule because I like to see a schedule view of my calendar. And I'm going to place it there. And then I am going to drag it so that it is very big and takes up the rest of the screen because that's what I like to do. And so that is my second home screen. So my first home screen looks like this, has a mix of widgets and some folders and apps. And then this home screen is just all widgets. And then we're going to do one more home screen, which is very simple. Again, I'm going to hold into a blank space here, go back to widgets, and then I'm going to go back to calendar. And I'm going to do the calendar month view because I like to see a giant month view of my calendar, especially when I'm setting up my journal every single month. So I'm going to take that. Again, a new home screen just automatically popped up. I'm going to prop it in here, and then I'm going to make it giant so it takes up the entire screen. So that is essentially it. I'm a big fan of widgets, as you can tell. I don't really care to put a bunch of apps in my home screens because I can just swipe up and I can access all of my apps there very easily. So for me, it's mostly just the super, super important apps that I have on this front home screen, this first home screen. And then if you couldn't tell, like whenever I swipe to each home screen, there are still some static apps at the bottom, and some of them are folders. You can customize that bar to have static apps and or folders, and they just stay there. So those are the ones that stay there forever and always. So if you want to do that, you can do that as well. And then underneath that, I don't know if you can see or if you could notice that from before, that is just a Google search bar where you can access Google Lens. You can speak to Google, like do a Google search by voice, and just type in your Google search as well. If you were curious as to where Gemini is, you hold the power button to access that, and it will automatically pop up down there where you can see it listening to me, and it's also where that Google search bar is if you weren't to hold down the power button. But that is all of my home screens, and this is how I set up my phone. And I've kept this set up the same across many Google Pixel devices, like I think from the 6th onwards. But that is how I set up my Google Pixel home screens. I hope that was interesting and helpful. Again, I think it was pretty straightforward. I hope you were able to kind of follow along with me and set yours up. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions about this or if you want any other tutorials as to how to use the Google Pixel devices. I know a lot of you like to see just me using it so that you can get a vibe for how it performs. So just let me know what you're looking for, what you're most interested in, and I'd be happy to do a follow-up video. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope this was helpful, and I will talk to you in the next video.